Friend, notice this key to interpret Bible prophecy. Daniel 7 verse 17 reads, "Those great beasts, which are four kings which arise out of the earth." In verse 23, thus he said, "The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth." So Daniel sees four beasts that represent four kingdoms. These four world-ruling kingdoms, which start in Daniel's day, take us down the stream of time. Now, friend, you will clearly remember we saw and discussed four kingdoms as recorded in Daniel chapter 2. Those metals in the image represented Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and divided Europe. The vision of the beast in Daniel 7 adds more information to the vision in Daniel 2. It brings to light a power that would, during the time of divided Europe, would arise and attempt to change God's law. Let's look at how the Bible predicts what would happen and see clearly how history confirms what actually happened. Now the first beast. Let's look at Daniel 7 verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. The first beast was like a lion with eagle's wings. When the archaeologists were digging in a rock near the site of ancient Babylon, they found engravings on the walls of a lion with eagle's wings. In the ancient world, people knew that Babylon was represented as a lion. Then another nation would rise. Babylon wouldn't rule the world forever. Daniel 7 verse 5, and suddenly another beast, a second like a bear. It was raised up on one side, and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh. Now notice that the second empire is like a bear that rises itself up to one side. The combined kingdoms of Medo and Persia overthrew Babylon. The bear of Medo-Persia, rising itself up on one side, represented the Persians overthrowing first Babylon, then dominating the Medes. What does this bear have in its mouth, my friend? 3 ribs. When Medo-Persia conquered the world, it first conquered Babylon. Then it went northward and conquered Lydia, then southward and conquered Egypt. And these 3 nations, Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt, represent the 3 ribs. Can you see how accurate the Bible is, my friend? It is absolutely fantastic. Then the third empire rises, Daniel 7 verse 6. After this I looked, and there was another, like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Now what was this third nation? Remember, it was Babylon, then Medo-Persia, and then it was Greece. Now, what do you know about Greece? Who was the most prominent, famous Greek leader? Alexander the Great. He was just over 30 years of age when he conquered the then known world. Greece conquered the world quickly, as represented by the leopard with wings. Now, why the 4 heads? Notice once again how perfectly these beasts in Daniel line up with the 4 major world empires of history. Alexander the Great died when he was 33 years of age. And unlike most kingdoms, Alexander's son didn't take the throne. Instead, his 4 generals divided up the Greek Empire, and each took a portion to rule over. And the Bible describes a 4th empire in chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. It is very clear that this 4th beast, with iron teeth, represent the Iron Kingdom of Rome. And this period takes us to the time of Christ. Rome ruled the world in the days of Jesus. Christianity grew up in this Roman Empire, and the Bible describes the collapse of the Roman Empire clearly in the symbolism of toes of the image and the horns of the 4th beast. The image of Daniel 2 had feet and toes of iron and clay, representing Europe. Now the 4th beast here had 10 horns. Rome was divided into 10 main divisions, and during the time the barbarian tribes were overrunning Europe, religious apostasy would enter the church, and there would be a conflict over worship, and the Sabbath would be changed. Daniel 7 verse 8 reads, I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them. Now in Europe, among these 10 horns, there's another power that arises. And I carry on with verse 8, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots, and there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. Now the Bible says this little horn arose and was different from all the rest. The Bible gives us evidence to clearly identify this power. Let's go back to chapter 7 verse 8. First, this little horn comes up among the first 10 horns. Now if the 10 horns are divisions of Rome, this little horn has to come up obviously in Western Europe. This little horn doesn't come up in Asia or Africa or North or South America. Its roots are in European soil. And secondly, the Bible says this little horn would arise after the 10 horns. It doesn't come up in the days of Babylon or Medo-Persia or Greece or Rome. It comes up after the fall of the Roman Empire. It's a power that rises out of Rome in the early centuries. And the Bible also says this little horn has eyes like the eyes of a man. Now, eyes represent intelligence, but it is man's wisdom, not God's wisdom. It is a human religious system based on man's teachings, which would rise out of Rome. And notice what the Bible says in Daniel 7 verse 24. It is diverse, or in other words, it is different than all the rest. And chapter 7 verse 24 reads, he shall be different from the first ones. This one is different. It is not primarily a political power. It is a religious power. It is a religio-political power.